If you're looking to build a multiplex in Surrey, there's a lot of things that can go wrong when selecting the lot to build on. So let's look at the exact dimensions of a potential houseplex or fourplex, and let's look at the lots, the shapes and sizes of a lots which you should avoid. Let's quickly talk about the requirements for a fourplex first. So the minimum lot size you need in Surrey is 7,000 square feet lot if you want to build a proper regular sized fourplex. The must-haves are the lot has to have a back lane, or it must be a corner lot. The frontage required, let's say if it's not a corner lot, it's 58 feet. And if it's a corner lot, it's 62 feet frontage. So keep that in mind as regular 60 by 120, say a corner lot. Without a backlane, you cannot make a fourplex, because the reason that this specific frontage is required is because the city requires you to have at least a 50 feet wide houseplex or a fourplex. So, and there's usually like a 4 feet setback from both sides. So a 58 feet frontage for a regular lot with a backlane, you take out 8 feet from both, 4 feet from both sides, and then 58 minus 8, 50. Similarly, 62 minus 8 is 54, but there's an additional 4 feet setback if it's a corner lot. The zoning, of course, it has to be R3 zone. It cannot be R2, it cannot be R1, it cannot be R4. R4 is usually the smaller ones, and you can build a duplex there, but not a fourplex. It should not be in a transit-oriented area. So near Fraser Highway, especially where the new SkyTrain stations are coming, it cannot be there. If it's literally within the 800 meters of any current or future SkyTrain station, you cannot make a fourplex. It cannot be on septic or well water. So of course, it has to be on city sewer and city water. And of course, there cannot be any easements, right-of-ways, or creeks literally like going in the middle of the road, middle of the lot. Of course, there could be like very small easements and right-of-ways on the edge of the lot. That's usually okay. But if it's cutting through the lot, it's usually a problem. Now let's look at the setbacks required by the city. So this is an interior lot with a lane access, corner lot, lane access, interior lot, no lane. So this is the houseplex. Of course, no lane, you are not permitted. Houseplex is not permitted. And of course, finally, it's corner lot without lane. So for houseplex, the front yard setback is around 3.5 meters in all cases, which is around 12 feet. For rear yard, it's around 25 feet, and side yard is 4 feet. If you remember, 4 feet setback is required if it's a regular lot with a backlane. But if it's a corner lot, then from one side it will be 1.2 or 4 feet, but from the other side it will be 8 feet required as a setback. Now let's look at a typical site plan of a fourplex. So let's imagine we buy a 60 by 120, 7,200 square foot R3 zoned lot anywhere in Surrey. So this is what a fourplex will potentially look like. So these are your 4 units, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are your 4 car garages, so parking 1, 2, 3, 4. And imagine this is the back lane, and imagine this is the frontage or the front of the street. So you're 60 by 120. So these are all the setbacks required under R3 zoning bylaw. So from the garage to the back property line, you need 4 feet. And the garage is typically 10 by 20, so 200 square feet. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40 for car parkings. There's 40 feet. And then there's 20 feet remaining. So those 200 square feet could be used as just parking pads. So you could have 6 parking spots in a typical 60 feet frontage lot. And then, so it's 4 feet, then 20 feet for a typical length of a car parking. And then the setback required from the garage to the actual houseplex building is 16 feet. And so it's 4 plus 20 plus 16. And the front setback from the houseplex to the front of the property line is 12. So in total, if it's 120, then we'll minus the 4 feet, minus 20 for the car parking, minus 16, and then minus 12. So 68 feet long houseplex can be made on a 120 feet deep lot. And let's look at what the width could be. So it's very simple. 60 feet minus 4 minus 4, so it's 52. So we can do 68 times 52, which is 3536. So approximately 3,500 square feet can be covered just by the houseplex if it's a proper 7,200 square foot rectangular normal flat lot with no easements or anything weird. So 3,536 divided by 4 is 884 square feet. So this is on the higher side. A usual houseplex will have anywhere from 700 to 800 square feet per unit per floor. So it will be most likely, again, there's additional setbacks. There's a lot coverage, which is 60% for the first 6,000 and then minus 2% for every 1,000. So 58% for 7,000, 56% for 8,000 and so on until 35% is reached. So a typical one single floor for a fourplex will be around 750 to 800 square feet. So let's just take 750 as an example times 3. So it'll be around 2,250 square feet for all 3 levels for a single unit in houseplex. So in total times 4, it's around 9,000 square feet buildable, plus these around 800-900 square feet for those parking places as well. Now let's imagine we're looking at a corner lot. So there's some additional setbacks required, especially from the garage to the back of the property line. Of course, there's no back lane, but this is just the back of the property line. You need 2 additional feet of setbacks. So from 4, it goes to 6. And from the corner side, instead of 4, it's 8 feet of setback required. So again, we're assuming this is a 62 feet frontage lot, because we cannot build a fourplex in a 60 feet anyway if it doesn't have a back lane. So from 120 will reduce 6 minus 20 for the garage plus minus 16 minus 12. So 66 will be the length of the houseplex, and the width will be 62 minus 8 minus 4, so 50. So in total is 50 by 66. It's around 3,300 square feet, which is the maximum you're allowed to build. But of course, there's maximum limits set by under R3 zoning, which is around 6,450 square feet plus the basement. So the basement typically, with all the setbacks and taking everything into considerations, usually around 3,000 square feet. So around 9,400 square feet of a houseplex can be made on a corner lot or a regular lot with a back lane. But my suggestion would be, if you're looking at a corner lot, try to get at least a 66 feet frontage, hopefully more. If you want a proper regular size 2,200 square feet each unit, because if it's smaller, then the unit size will also shrink. So if you want to compete with the other units, because there will be a lot of fourplexes coming up in the market, because right now there's like 50-60 applications in Surrey, maybe a little less, but that's the last time I checked. It wouldn't make sense to compete with a 2,200 square feet unit if your unit is 1,800 square feet. So make sure, if you're looking at a regular lot with a back lane, then a 7,200 square feet is okay. But if you're looking at a corner lot, it's better to get at least 8,000 square feet, if not more, because there will be no access from the back, because there's literally a house in the back, but there will be the lane access is literally here. So this will be your lane access. This is the corner street. So you will drive, so this is the front, you'll drive here, then you'll go from here. So that's why the 16 feet is needed, because you need a turning radius between the garage and the houseplex. So the back lane is technically made into a middle lane if it's a corner lot. Okay, so if you're looking to buy a multiplex lot anywhere in Surrey right now in this market in April 2025, you can get a typical 7,200 square foot lot with a back lane or a bigger corner lot for around 1.3 to 1.4 million dollars. The build cost for, let's say, a typical 9,000 square feet houseplex is around 1.5. There's way too many variables. Of course, nothing's guaranteed. I've heard builders say they could build it in 1.3. I've heard builders say they could build it in 1.7. There's way too many variables right now, but a rough average would be around 1.5 for just the hard cost. And there's, of course, soft costs like financing, so your holding cost, your interest costs, your selling costs for realtors, your ACCs, DCCs, your city costs, your all the engineers, the surveyors, arborists. There's way too many consultants to even list. So all in all, for just a soft cost, a rough idea would be around 600K. So 1.3 for the lot, 1.5, 2.8 for just the hard cost plus lot, and then 600. So 3.4 will be your all-in cost for if you want to build and sell the houseplex in like a regular area in Surrey. So a typical 2,200 square feet 3-story houseplex with a 2-car parking spot nowadays should sell for around $1.1 million plus GST. That's 4.4 in revenue minus 3.4 in our all-in cost. There's $1 million profit potential in around 2 years. So of course, you don't need the entire $3.4 million in cash. Usually the money required is around 30 to 35%. So for 3.4 to 30% is around $1 million, 35 is around 1.2. So million to 1.2 is required in liquid cash if you even want to start making a houseplex. But the ROI is 50% and it's only 2 years of time frame. So the short time frame is what makes this project feasible. My name is Khush Khosa. I'm your local realtor. If you're looking for a lot, please give me a call at 778-697-6477. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.